Ice Cube didn't hold back. Staring straight into the camera, he said plainly, "I'm not in the business of losing money." With that single sentence, the illusion surrounding Angel Reese's supposed market influence collapsed. The Big Three's reported $5 million deal, and the later eye-popping $15 million figure, were designed for one player and one player alone, Caitlin Clark. It was never a shared opportunity, never a sign whoever first arrangement. It was a tailor-made contract built specifically for the athlete sponsors relentlessly pursue. That reality forces an uncomfortable question. If Reese truly had the pull her brand claimed, why wasn't her phone lighting up? Tonight we're unpacking the hard truth behind those figures, the rise and unraveling of the Bayou Barbie phenomenon, and how Clark is quietly building an empire that no amount of TikTok noise can rival. When TMZ released the footage, it wasn't hearsay or speculation. It was Ice Cube himself laying it out. At LAX, surrounded by cameras, the Big Three founder made it unmistakably clear that no deal was coming Angel Reese's way. Not now, not ever. His delivery was firm. His message wasn't ambiguous. He stated outright that the $5 million Big Three offer was crafted exclusively for Caitlin Clark. That single admission flipped months of narrative on its head. For a long time, Reese's camp leaned heavily on the belief that her popularity and Bayou Barbie branding translated into sponsor leverage. Cube's words erased that belief instantly. This wasn't a first-come opportunity. This wasn't a bundled package where Reese could slide in and share the spotlight. It was a one-off agreement engineered for the only player brands trust to guarantee returns, Caitlin Clark. And that's where reality hits hardest. If Angel Reese truly possessed the market power her supporters claimed, there would have been rival bids, alternate offers, or at least quiet negotiations. Instead, there was nothing. Silence. Sponsors, executives, and now Ice Cube himself all point to the same conclusion. Caitlin Clark moves the needle. Angel Reese does not. For Reese, that TMZ moment was crushing because once Cube said it out loud, the conversation permanently shifted. She wasn't the rising mogul, the marketing juggernaut, or the symbol of a new era. She became the name left off the list. Proof that hype without results doesn't pay the bills. But if that was the public wake-up call, the deeper story lies in how Angel Reese built her hype machine to begin with. To grasp why Ice Cube's comments landed so hard, you have to rewind to Reese's ascent. Not long ago, she seemed untouchable. After LSU's national championship run, Reese reinvented herself as more than an athlete. She became a spectacle. She crowned herself the Bayou Barbie, and the label spread like wildfire. From the moment she entered an arena, the focus shifted from basketball to presentation. Tunnel walks turned into fashion runways, complete with designer fits, jewelry, and camera flashes that felt closer to the Met Gala than college hoops. Social media devoured it. Viral TikToks, trending hashtags, endless reposts during a scorching stretch. It appeared Angel Reese had unlocked the formula for merging sports and celebrity. Reebok moved quickly, placing her at the center of a flashy campaign. She appeared on late-night shows, smiled from magazine covers, and positioned herself as the face of a new movement. For a while, the world bought in. She wasn't just playing basketball. She was performing it. And in an era where image can rival substance, Reese looked like she'd cracked the code. But there was a flaw. Image without substance has a short shelf life. You can declare yourself royalty, but if the empire isn't built on results, the throne won't hold. As Reese leaned further into branding slogans and the Bayou Barbie persona, the on-court numbers and boardroom realities began telling a different story. That gap between flash and fundamentals is what caught up to her by 2025. Once the cameras shifted elsewhere and the buzz cooled, the foundation underneath wasn't nearly as strong as it appeared. By 2025, the sparkle surrounding Angel Reese had noticeably dimmed. The packed arenas that followed LSU's title run gave way to half-filled seats. Major sponsorship pushes meant to cement her as the next marketing powerhouse stalled or quietly faded out. Some lingered in limbo long enough to feel effectively canceled. Behind closed doors, agencies ran the numbers, and the results were unforgiving. Hype didn't equal revenue. That's how one insider summed it up. Viral clips and TikTok moments looked impressive online, but when it came time to move actual product, sneakers, jerseys, merchandise, the returns fell short. Reese's brand generated attention, but it didn't convert clicks into sales. Companies noticed, quietly and decisively pulling back. At the same time, Caitlin Clark was redefining what true star power meant. Whenever her name appeared on a schedule, arenas sold out. Television ratings doubled, sometimes tripled when Clark took the floor. Families planned entire trips just to watch her play live. And merchandise told an even clearer story. Clark jerseys didn't just sell. They dominated, selling out repeatedly and reselling like limited edition sneakers. The contrast was brutal for Reese. She had slogans and polish. Clark had authenticity, numbers, and a gravitational pull that can't be manufactured. For sponsors, the decision stopped being complicated. Betting on Reese meant chasing noise. Investing in Clark meant locking in returns. That's why when Chicago hosted All-Star Weekend, what was supposed to be Reese's homecoming became something else entirely. A weekend overtaken by Caitlin Clark without her even stepping onto the court. Chicago was meant to be Angel Reese's stage. Her hometown was ready to celebrate its star during All-Star Weekend, a perfect setup for the Bayou Barbie to reclaim the spotlight. Instead, something surreal unfolded. Caitlin Clark, injured and sidelined, turned the entire weekend into her own event. Crowds packed the streets not chanting for Reese, but shouting Clark's name. It felt unreal, like watching Michael Jordan return to Chicago in his prime. The noise, the energy, the ocean of jerseys, all directed at Clark. Reese was present, smiling for photos, walking red carpets, handling PR duties, but she wasn't the headline. She wasn't the story. She became a supporting figure in her own moment. Every clip, every image, every conversation revolved around Clark. And that's the harsh truth Reese can't control. You can manage your image, your outfits, your branding. You can't force fans to care. Chicago proved that decisively. The city didn't belong to the Bayou Barbie. It belonged to Caitlin Clark, even from the bench. That's why Clark can turn down $15 million and remain confident more doors will open. Meanwhile, Reese is left chasing momentum that slips further away with every empty seat and every overshadowed appearance. And the divide isn't just perception. It's numbers. Cold, undeniable numbers. Numbers don't care about hashtags, slogans, or viral dances. And Caitlin Clark's numbers are staggering. In just 50 games, she tied for the third most triple-doubles in league history. 50 games. That isn't hype, that's history unfolding in real time. Her influence stretches far beyond the stat sheet. Clark's games aren't simply matchups. They're events. Ratings spike instantly when she's scheduled, sometimes doubling or tripling league averages. Arenas sell out weeks ahead of time. This is the kind of star power that can't be fabricated. And then there's the merchandise. Caitlin Clark's jerseys don't merely sell, they dominate the market. Every fresh release vanishes from shelves, with restocks selling out within hours. Resellers treat them like limited edition sneakers, flipping them online for profit. The demand is non-stop, unforgiving, and still accelerating. Now contrast that with Angel Reese. Her merchandise lingers, barely registering on sales charts. The same marketing agencies that once pushed her front and center are now recognizing the reality. Fans might like her posts and engage online, but they aren't opening their wallets. No matter how polished the branding looks, Reese's products aren't moving. That gap is the difference between hype and real influence. Clark is showing she isn't just an athlete. She's a cultural force who turns attention into revenue, ratings, and milestones. Reese, meanwhile, is facing a harsh lesson. Popularity without conversion doesn't sustain a business. It doesn't keep the lights on. And if the numbers weren't already unforgiving, the on-court efficiency gap made the divide impossible to overlook. At first glance, Angel Reese's stat lines appear respectable. Frequent double-doubles, steady rebounding totals, the type of numbers her supporters love to post. But a closer look tells a different story. Shooting 33% from the field isn't efficiency. It's inefficiency. Many of those rebounds come off her own missed shots, inflating the totals without actually changing outcomes. In short, they're empty numbers. Sponsors and scouts aren't deceived by padded stats. They aren't interested in surface-level highlights. They want return on investment. And when Caitlin Clark is measured against Angel Reese, the difference is stark. Clark fills arenas, lifts television ratings, sells jerseys, and rewrites history. Reese generates noise without conversion, campaigns without traction, buzz without sales. That's why Ice Cube's comments landed with such force. He wasn't being petty or playing favorites. He was stating the only metric that matters in business: the bottom line. Ice Cube said it plainly. I'm not in the business of losing money. That wasn't bias. It wasn't personal. It was mathematics. And that's what makes Reese's situation so fragile. Headlines don't repay multi-million-dollar sponsorships. Boardrooms can't justify spending millions on an athlete who doesn't move products or boost ratings. That cold calculation leaves Reese watching from the sidelines. Clark, on the other hand, operates with total leverage. She doesn't chase opportunities, they pursue her. And when Ice Cube returned with an even larger offer, Clark had the rare freedom to do something almost unthinkable: say no. When the Big Three went back to the drawing board, they didn't reduce the offer, they raised it. The league came back with an even more aggressive proposal: $15 million for just 10 games. That's $1.5 million every time Caitlin Clark stepped on the court. For most athletes, it would have been an automatic yes. But Clark shocked everyone by turning it down. Consider that for a moment. Walking away from $15 million isn't recklessness. It's power. And it's a decision only possible when money is already flowing from every direction. Clark doesn't need Ice Cube's deal to survive. She's already backed by Nike, major partnerships, and even a Stanley Cup collaboration that transformed her logo into a lifestyle brand. On the horizon are the CC1 signature sneakers, a release insiders believe could reshape the market entirely. That's billionaire-level leverage. Clark isn't negotiating from desperation. She's setting the terms. She decides which offers matter and which get ignored. In fact, rejecting the deal only amplified her value, proving that brands must meet her standards, not the other way around. This is where the distance between Clark and Angel Reese becomes a chasm. Reese is still scrambling for endorsements that stick, chasing deals that fade after a few press releases. Clark, meanwhile, dictates the tempo of the entire industry. She influences TV schedules. She drives sponsorship dollars. She shapes culture itself. Reese is optional, a supporting piece at best, never the centerpiece. Clark is the centerpiece, the gravitational force everything else revolves around. That's why this story's conclusion isn't about hype, it's about legacy. Angel Reese's trajectory is becoming a cautionary tale. Her brand leaned heavily on viral moments and catchy phrases. But when the spotlight shifted and the noise cooled, the foundation couldn't hold. Empty arenas, silent sponsors, stalled campaigns. Her brand was built on volume, and volume doesn't last forever. Caitlin Clark is building something entirely different. Every stat line, every sold-out arena, every historic achievement adds another layer to an empire that looks less like a marketing push and more like a dynasty taking shape. She isn't chasing attention. Attention is chasing her. That's why she can turn down $15 million and still emerge stronger. That's why Nike is placing massive bets on her future. That's why she's not just rewriting record books, but redefining the cultural blueprint for women's basketball. The contrast couldn't be clearer. Reese represents a moment that's fading. Clark represents a movement that's growing. One brand is fighting to remain relevant. The other is a cultural icon whose influence continues to expand. And that's the reality Ice Cube's blunt words exposed. Sponsorships don't pursue noise, they pursue legacy. Because no matter how loud hype becomes, it always fades.